So this is my pixel today. This morning. I do a lot of pixels every day. I've been talking about this for some time, and but I've not been sharing it at a level that I think people um, can yet implement it into their life. Seeing the benefits of it. So every day, every time that I'm awake and wondering, what can I do? What can I do that's building the next best version of me right now? And there's a lot of different ways that can be looked at in our life. We're looking at um, every aspect of our life, right? Every aspect of our life is a pixel that makes the big picture of who we are and how we want to experience the right now moment, right? And when we are experiencing the right now moment with all of the pixels aligned with how we want to see them, we're going to be experiencing a life that we really love waking up to every day. And sometimes the pixels in our life get a bunch of stuff thrown on top of them, right? It's enough to make you go insane. Can you believe that somebody took and dumped all of this stuff right here? What the hell's going on with this, right? But as we look at everything as the resource that it is, and that things are temporary, right? Um, and in just a few hours, all of those items can go back to looking like this. And you can see that that was a pixel that was attended to, right? And that was not. But when we use our action and our intentions, my intentions are to remove all of the weeds or the grasses that are growing within 1 foot of that wall, or touching it. I'm trying to maintain these fire barriers and condensation creation zones, and we want to make sure that um, I'm sorry, buddy, you're a big old juicy plant, but you're going to become a nitrogen fixer on the hill now, part of a raised bed garden up in the rocks where nothing would have existed before. But that's the thing, is with human intention, all sorts of fantastic things can happen, right? I mean, we can carry dirt, right? I mean, we can actually carry dirt. And when a bunch of people carry dirt, there's a lot of dirt that gets carried, right? That's what they've been doing in India and other places for a long time, is people carry dirt, and they take it from the low areas that have a lot of nutrients in it, and they take it to the high areas, or they build catchment features for the water in the wintertime. Anyway, I'm not going to do all this, but you can see how, with a little bit of intention, the existence changes, the experience. Sometimes the little things pop up, right? So we just go over here and we say, this is my will to remove this because this is what I have established in my life. And I'm thankful for it all, because it all provides me opportunities to work out. I don't even need a gym membership because look, they just another pixel that would love to get polished. And here is a major blow, right? Somebody backed up a backhoe into that and knocked it down. Huge, huge problems, right? But with a little bit, I'm not going to do it right now, but if somebody else wants to help me out here, because there's a lot of pixels to polish and a lot of things that we can share with each other that can help our lives grow, you put a little bit of intention and action to that, and it becomes that again, right? And it'll stay that way for a long, long time until somebody comes by and bumps into it and causes a problem. And then we if we see it as a problem, then we recognize the solutions that we know about. And oh my gosh, look, here we are, another pixel. They got dumped on by resources waiting to be used in the best way they know how to be used. So one of the pixels of my life that I didn't like for some time was how expensive it was to live. And so, if we want to, right here, somebody backed in a trailer. Holy crap, it broke my wall. They didn't do it on purpose, but it was still done, still destroyed. But an hour, maybe two, it would be completely fixed. A little bit of energy in the right direction. Anyway, yeah, so it was expensive. It was very expensive to exist on every level. And I was like, well, how do the rich people do it? Right? I mean, how if you want to feel rich, you have to recognize what rich people do. Right? And so I'm like, all right, well, who's the richest guy that I know of? And I don't know him, but he has enough content on and look at that. That's maybe the backhoe that ran into the wall. Maybe. Um, he has a lot of content on, like, when he has his own platform even. It's that Elon Musk guy. And although I'm not interested in launching rockets to Mars, I mean, that's fun. But I mean, I got kind of, I was satiated with, that as a child. You watch stuff go up, you watch stuff come down. And I realized I'm like, I would rather spend my time and energy focused on the things that truly matter. And the things that truly matter are the things that um, are working to generate life and abundance and efficiency and transparency and um, these things that people can align with in a way that they want to wake up every day. Because we've got a lot of people that are they're they're killing themselves slowly, right? They're killing themselves slowly by um, by what they're putting in their bodies, right? And so um, when we do things differently, we're going to experience things differently, right? And when we're experiencing things differently, maybe people won't want to escape their experience. Because that's what's happening now. We have a whole bunch of people um, voluntarily checking out of this life experience prematurely, right? It's kids. It's all backgrounds all over the planet, right? But when we make life to where it's exciting, I mean, 'cause like I had a group come yesterday here, and it was two very young ladies. I think they were about 3, and their moms, and they had a good time. We walked around, we looked at goldfish ponds, and we fed them, and they were pretty excited about that because the fish they showed their appreciation, right? Did little shows for them, but they saw a um, different way, another way. And when there's another way to do things, then people are willing to choose that, right? I mean, I chose it voluntarily. So, and I chose it voluntarily because I've been aware of all of these little parts of my life that I need to be paying attention to. And so I'm like, what do the rich people do, right? So Elon Musk, he has some pretty fast cars, but he has a tiny house, right? And even though he has a bunch of kids, I mean, but they're with, like a bunch of different moms. But, somebody who's that rich, they can afford that kind of child support, so it makes him to where he just goes out and does what he wants to do, right? Um, but he has a tiny house. And people that I know that have tiny houses, they actually have tighter families, because the families they're forced to communicate with each other. They're basically, if you want to be inside where it's warm and where dinner's being served, then you're gonna have to get along with everybody, right? But now we have a society of people who, as soon as somebody doesn't think of things exactly the way you do, we're fighting each other, and we're trying to push our will on each other through the use of the state to do it. And then we say, well, I voted, and well, if two wolves and one sheep voted for who's for dinner, is it? I mean, does the sheep's brother that suffers the loss of uh, his sibling um, not in his right to say, "Hey, what's going on here? This isn't cool." You forced your will on my family, and that's what we've been doing for a long time. In the military, we're all over the country, forcing our will on other people. We're, we're spending more money on keeping poor people poor than we are at solving the problems that exist because people are in scarcity. They're in disease, they're in stress, they're in struggle. It costs so much to exist. Why does it cost so much to exist? Right? I mean, the land is full of resources, but everybody has moved into cities and they think they need to have an apartment that they can control the temperature with a button on the wall. Everything brought to you or taken away. People are trying to live as a king, but they're actually living as a stressed out peasant or a slave. I mean, they're having to medicate to go to sleep or to poop, right? I mean, we're talking about a lot of things not being quite right in the world today. But there is another way. And when we recognize that other way, a way that hasn't been advertised to us, we step into a freedom, right? And when we step into a freedom, that's when you can go spend time. Uh, you don't have to own your own private jet. If you want to, that's up to you. But I had a boat, and that was enough money in maintenance and everything that I chose to sell it. I mean, it was just I'm not using if I'm not using something all of the time, why have it? I mean, that's where it's not that personal ownership of things, in my opinion, is bad. It's that if that's what you're hoping is going to make you happy, you have to ask yourself, is it? I mean, I'd much rather just spend a little bit of money when I need to use a service that somebody else offers than to try to maintain that service for myself, so it happens at the drop of a dime. I mean, I do yoga, so I'm pretty flexible in how I do things physically and the choices that I make, right? I mean, if I really want to be in Hawaii on Tuesday so that way I can be back on Friday, um, I can't be catching a flight on Monday, right? And the real question I'd be asking myself is, if I'm going to fly all the way to Hawaii, why am I only staying 3 days? I mean, that's just dumb. I mean, that's if I'm if I'm going to Hawaii, I'm going to go for at least a few months. Just take a backpack, have showers on the beach. Do you really need to have an apartment that you're paying $70 or $150 or $200 a night for, while you're actually wanting to be out surfing, snorkeling, and fishing? or hiking or enjoying nature. I mean that's just silly to me. If I want to live in a box, I'll do it at Walmart. But anyway, like there's like right here, right in front of us. These can make a box. Those are all pieces that, when put together the right way, they can hold up thousands and thousands of pounds, which is like a roof, right? I mean, I have a friend who built his whole house out of apple boxes. Beautiful, big house. You wouldn't ever know it's built out of apple boxes. But all it took was just time and a bunch of screws. So, yeah, I mean, so I guess it wasn't free. I mean, he had to spend money and time, fuel, screws, probably saw blades, stuff like that. But, he built a house that will last a long, long time. Then he covered it in concrete. Right? And he's like, hey, well, it's not going to catch on fire that way. It's not going to catch on fire from the inside. And if it catches on fire from the outside, he says, we got bigger problems than just a house burning down. Anyway, the richest man on the planet, he doesn't have a house. Like a big house. And sometimes he would even just sleep in his office. Like, I guess pretty often. Like that's what I do too. I basically I just sleep wherever I'm tired. If I'm tired, I take up a little piece of space and I fall asleep. And it works out pretty well for me because I don't ever have to be like tired because I didn't have my bed. I got rid of my bed about 11, 12 years ago and have not looked back. Hardwood or hard floors or a hammock is the options that I choose. See, that's the thing. What do you choose for you? What I'm looking at to build in my life is health and happiness and peace and abundance. Being that we all have a free will to do and choose what we want in our life, I hope you choose for you in the way that you want to.